Right now, about 8 billion people are alive on Earth. A manuscript written on palm leaves in Odisha roughly 600 years ago says that when the age turns, a little over 64 crore will remain, fewer than 1 in 12. And it is not a lottery. It says they are selected by a standard anyone can read. Think about that for a second. 8 billion of us alive today versus the 64 crore, which is about 640 million, who are prophesied to survive. This profound demographic shift, reducing the global population to fewer than 1 in 12, might sound a little alarming at first. But the absolutely crucial point here is that this isn't random chance, and it isn't some arbitrary apocalypse. It is a highly calculated transition. The text lays out a specific, behavioral standard of conduct. It's an entirely open book, detailing a universal testing mechanism that spans the entire globe, which naturally leads us to a fascinating stack of questions. First off, who exactly are these 64 core people crossing the threshold into a new era? Second, why does the text specifically claim that 33 core of them are actually divine? And third, and probably the one you're asking right now, is there anything you can do to be counted among them? Well, we're going to investigate every single one of those questions in this explainer today. Here is our roadmap for this investigation. We'll be looking at 4 distinct chapters. 1, the count. 2, the 33 crore among us. 3, the winnowing. And 4, the 4 tests. But before we dive into those numbers, we really need to establish exactly what source material we're looking at. We are investigating the Bhavishya Malika. These are Odia palm leaf prophecies written approximately 600 years ago by the Panchasakha. The Panchasakha were 5 great saints of Odisha. These were men of profound spiritual vision, and they recorded an incredibly detailed behavioral roadmap for humanity's most turbulent transition. Their writings are precise, they've been heavily guarded over centuries, and they are completely unified in their vision of the future. All right, let's jump right into chapter 1, the count. According to the Bhavishya Malika, the sheer scale of the coming transition is absolute. The text explicitly states, and I quote, "After the Great War, less than a quarter remain, and whole regions empty, about 64 crore. That is an unbelievably specific demographic claim made centuries ago, forecasting a global population contraction on a scale that's honestly hard to imagine. Let's really think about what it means for whole regions to empty. It implies a total geographical and societal reset. We're talking about entire swaths of the globe currently bustling with modern infrastructure and massive populations, just undergoing a profound silence. It points to a global reshaping where only a highly specific, scattered remnant remains standing to inherit the earth. So the text makes it crystal clear. This isn't just some local event. This is a massive global restructuring of humanity. Moving on to chapter 2, the 33 crore among us. So who exactly makes up this surviving remnant? Well, the demographic breakdown of these 64 core survivors is absolutely fascinating. This comes to us from the teaching of Pandit Dr. Sri Kashinath Mishra, who is the foremost living authority on this scripture. He details that out of the 64 core total survivors worldwide, about 33 core are actually divine souls, gods and goddesses who have purposefully taken birth in human bodies right now to assist in this transition. The remaining 31 core, those are human devotees spread across the rest of the world. What this means is that the human survivors are an international community. They are crossing borders, living quietly among us right this very second, completely unified not by a single nationality or language, but purely by their devotion and their conduct. It's a borderless collective chosen to seed the new age. Which brings us to chapter 3, the winnowing. If the survival number is fixed at 64 crore, you're probably wondering what the exact mechanism of selection is. According to the Bhavishya Malika, specifically in the book Chosati Patala by the great Saint Achyutananda Das, on page 196, the Lord explains this process directly. The text says he will be removing sinful humans, repeating this winnowing every year like separating paddy from chaff. Now, this agricultural metaphor is absolutely vital to understanding the text. Winnowing is a natural sorting process, right? The farmer tosses the harvest into the air, and the wind simply blows away the chaff, the weightless, empty husks. The pure, heavy seed falls straight down, safe and preserved. In this cosmic sorting, human ego and sin represent that weightless chaff. The winnowing force isn't an arbitrary punishment. It's a natural law of consequence, focusing entirely on conduct. Those who shed their ego, chant the name, and surrender to the Lord actually have spiritual weight. They are chosen and preserved, while those lacking substance are separated out. So selection is strictly by conduct, never by chance. To truly grasp this winnowing process, we have to define a specific term the text uses to describe that chaff. The word is maleksha, and it is absolutely critical to understand exactly what this means, especially for a global audience today. In the Bhavishya Malika, Malaksha is a category of conduct. It is never a person's nation, it is never a person's ethnicity, and it is never a person's religion. It is a strictly behavioral definition. You see, a Malaksha is someone who has completely abandoned the natural and moral order of the universe. It describes a person who lives by violence against other living beings, who embraces ego and cruelty, and who operates as if no higher divine order exists. The winnowing force specifically targets this Malaksha conduct. It's removing a destructive lifestyle from the earth, not a race or a nationality. It is entirely about the choices an individual makes in their daily life. Because survival is entirely based on personal conduct, we're really left to look inward. So, would you pass the test? The Malika says there are 4 specific parts to it. Let's uncover them in Chapter 4, the 4 tests. This brings us to the exact actionable protocol for survival. This is the divine roadmap laid out by the great saints centuries ago, and I want to emphasize right here that the tone and focus of the Bhavishya Malika is never about fear or panic. It is entirely about grounded daily practice. It offers a very clear 4-step prescription to align your life with the coming age. Let's deeply examine each of these 4 tests to understand the standard being asked of humanity. According to the Kuda Malika and the Kalki Gita, the first requirement is daily Trisandhya. This translates to performing dedicated worship at the 3 daily twilights, near dawn, at midday, and in the evening. Now, why the twilights? Well, these are the seams of the day, the quiet transition points where the natural world shifts. By pausing to worship at these specific times, a person actively aligns their own internal human rhythm with the broader cosmic rhythm. It forces you to step out of that chaotic, nonstop rush of modern life and just anchor yourself in gratitude and divine remembrance. The texts describe those who faithfully keep Trisandhya as the very ones who are recognized, purified, and protected as the age turns. The second test requires a fundamental and complete transformation of what you consume. A survivor must adopt a purely sattvic vegetarian diet. This means consuming 0 meat and 0 fish. It is a commitment to radical nonviolence right on your plate. Additionally, it demands consuming absolutely 0 intoxicants, which unequivocally includes alcohol. A sattvic lifestyle is all about taking in only what brings light, clarity, and peace to the body and the mind. You simply cannot cultivate a pure consciousness while consuming violence or dulling your awareness with chemicals. This test ensures the physical vessel is entirely purified and harmonized with the natural world. According to the Paduka Kalku, the third test is the complete and absolute abandonment of mlecha conduct. As we defined clearly just a minute ago, this means a total rejection of anger, cruelty, ego, and violence. It's not enough to just change your diet. You actually have to fundamentally rewire how you interact with other living beings. You must actively abandon the path of unrighteousness and instead embrace compassion, deep truth, peace, and universal friendship. This test requires a person to actively prove, through their daily actions, that they are a safe, constructive presence in the natural order of the world. The fourth and final test, according to the Kali Gita Chapter 2, is true devotion. The text is incredibly specific here. The divine presence cannot be accessed or attained merely through intellectual knowledge, scholarly debate, or reading words on a page without feeling. It reveals itself exclusively through fully surrendered, heartfelt devotion. It requires a profound inner realization. You've got to be a true devotee not just in your thoughts, but completely unified in your heart and your daily conduct. It is the ultimate test of sincerity, separating those who simply speak of spirituality from those who actually live it in every single breath. So what is the ultimate reality for those who actually pass these 4 tests? The scriptures describe an aftermath of profound, breathtaking peace. In the beginning of the shift, the text foresees an era so stripped down that only 3 to 4 devotees might remain per village. They live a life of ultimate, mystical simplicity, surviving on nothing but air and the name of the Lord. From this incredibly quiet, simplified foundation, a glorious new era slowly unfolds. The scriptures declare that the Lord reigns directly for 1,009 years. This is a millennium characterized by absolute peace, where the survivors possess divine life, maintain divine youth, and exist entirely to work for the welfare of the world. It is a complete restoration of planetary harmony. Which brings us to the core, beating heart of the Bhavishya Malika prophecies. This is a headline of immense hope. According to these exact scriptures, this ultimate golden age, the Satya Yuga, the age of truth, begins in the year 2032. This timeline is an inspiring, completely fear-free truth. It does not prophesy the end of the world, but rather the end of corruption and the beautiful, inevitable restoration of righteousness on earth. The most powerful aspect of this ancient roadmap is that the door is wide open to anyone willing to walk through it, and you can take action right now at absolutely zero cost. The authorities on the text invite you to adopt 3 simple, profound practices today. First, practice Trisandhya daily, dedicating those 3 twilight moments to worship. Second, continuously chant the protective name Madhava wherever you are. And third, read the Srimad Bhagavat to anchor your mind in divine truth. These simple, highly accessible actions align you immediately with the standard of the coming age. We began this explainer by noting that of the immense population on Earth today, fewer than 1 in 12 people will transition into this new age of truth. The standard has been clearly set out, preserved by great saints over 6 centuries. It's not a lottery. It is a choice of conduct, of purity, and of devotion. So I leave you with this final, lingering thought to consider. Of the 8 billion people currently on Earth, will you be that one in